Welcome back, adventurers, to Let's Play Sentinels of the Multiverse. In the previous video, the Savage Haka managed to face off against his erstwhile rival and nemesis Ambuscade, the superhuman hero-hunting former movie star and consummate Frenchman, and managed to avoid getting stuck in the time and place of Silver Gulch 1883. But there's no rest for our heroes, as a familiar face makes a grand reappearance. Baron Blade, but no longer the Terralunar Impulsion Beam inventor or the vengeful scientist. Instead, he is the Mad Bomber Blade. After the Freedom 5 destroyed both his Impulsion Beam and his mobile defense platform, Baron Blade has been biding his time in the city of Megalopolis, and he's been planting bombs at various points in the city. He has also shown video footage sent directly to the headquarters of the Freedom 5 in the hopes of luring them back for a rematch, and also to distract them with his nefarious bomb plot, which clearly he got the idea from Die Hard 3 with a vengeance. So basically think of him as trying to pull off Simon's shtick from Die Hard 3, although not quite the same. Also, Baron Blade is working solo now. He no longer has his minions or other things, and as such, whenever a villain target enters play, it's placed under Baron Blade, and he gets to play the top card of his deck. We cannot affect cards under Baron Blade in any way, shape or form. At the start of his turn, Baron Blade deals every non-villain target X fire damage, which is the number of cards under Baron Blade. This basically is the bombs exploding all over the place. They start off small, but as time goes on, as Baron Blade has more and more targets under him, these bombs will become even more devastating and deal quite a lot of damage. And of course, when he is destroyed, Baron Blade, his character card will flip. But we don't need to worry about that right now. Unfortunately for Baron Blade, the Freedom 5 aren't going to be showing up anytime soon. Instead, Legacy's daughter, Pauline Felicia Parsons, aka America's newest Legacy, will be making her debut in this series, in this episode. She has the power of Atomic Glare, in which she deals one target 3 energy damage, and she starts off with a Danger Sense, Inspiring Presence, and 2 motivational charges. Accompanying her are Fanatic, Ra, and Visionary. Fanatic has Absolution, Consecrated Ground, Divine Sacrifice, and Undaunted. Ra has his Staff of Ra, as he should. He also has Flame Barrier, Flesh of the Sun God, which will be useful in shielding the heroes from Baron Blade's bombs when they explode, and Inferno. And Visionary will be helping out with Decoy Projection, Foresight, Psychic Maelstrom, and Rest the Mind. But for now, Baron Blade's first bomb goes off. Now normally he would be dealing no damage whatsoever, which means no bombs are actually going off, but he is dealing 1 damage to America's newest Legacy, because they are still arch nemesis. And there is the Elemental Redistributor, which doesn't come into play, it instead goes under Baron Blade, as you saw there. Oh, Devious Disruption. Fortunately, we don't have any equipment or ongoing cards in play at the time, so we just get hit for 3 damage. Except for Legacy gets hit for 4. Electrocution, hooray. But not as bad as being blown up with bombs. So he only has one card under him now, so he'll only be dealing 1 damage. The more targets he plays, they'll all go under his card, and the damage will increase, and so will the stakes. Legacy is going to throw out the Inspiring Presence, because like the legacies before her, she has inherited the powers of her predecessors. And because this is a fixed stat game, as I mentioned in the first video of this series, she still has Legacy's cards. But instead of Galvanize, she gets to shoot energy from her eyes. Excuse me. So she'll be dealing 5 damage to the Mad Baron, and there's a back for a strike. She'll be dealing more melee damage. Meanwhile, Fanatic is going to rain down Divine Justice with the power of Absolution and hit Baron Blade for 3 radiant damage, or 4 radiant damage because of Inspiring Presence. Meanwhile, the Freedom 5 are busy elsewhere, so that's why these heroes are on the job here in Megalopolis. And Ra will show Baron Blade the true power of fire by burning him with the Staff of Ra. Feel the flames. And Scorched Earth. Let's see. Could use the Psychic Maelstrom to deal 2 damage, or 3 damage to Baron Blade. But probably gonna conjure up a decoy projection just in case, and Visionary is going to use Enlightenment on herself. So she draws a Mind Spike and a Telekinetic Cocoon. Don't need the Cocoon for now. We'll be alright at this point, and there's a Mass Levitation in case the environment decides to pull something. Traffic pile up. Players cannot draw cards. Well, that sucks. Curse you, Baron Blade. Your bomb plot has caused a huge traffic jam here in Megalopolis. That's why you don't let mad scientists run around in urban cities. And the decoy projection takes the damage from Baron Blade. And the powered remote turret goes onto Baron Blade, and he plays another card, Blade Battalion, which he doesn't have anymore because he's working alone, and Hasten Doom, which hits us all for 2 toxic damage, and he gets to play another card again. If it's another target, he keeps playing targets for days until he has a whole bunch of damage that he can deal on his next turn. So the stakes have actually just risen. They're not as bad as things aren't as bad as they could be right now, but the more targets Baron Blade plays, like Elemental Redistributor, he keeps getting more and more cards. Oh, consider the price of victory. We have to discard a card, he hits us, and he discards cards. This would normally work towards his Impulsion Beam, but since we broke it in our first encounter, we don't need to worry about that. Legacy can get rid of a Motivational Charge, Fanatic can get rid of Divine Sacrifice, Ra can get rid of... actually, Ra can get rid of... no, he doesn't actually want to get rid of Inferno. Probably want to get rid of Fletcher's Sun God for the moment, and Visionary get rid of Mass Levitation. And everyone gets hit for sonic damage, which is most unfortunate. As you can see, Baron Blade is a little worse for wear after our previous encounter. That's because he was actually on the platform when it blew up, and when we destroyed his Impulsion Beam. Meanwhile, Legacy is going to punch Baron Blade. We'll need to get rid of Traffic Pile Up at some point so that we can start drawing cards again. It's a bit of a slowdown, but not by much. We want to get rid of Baron Blade before he actually starts setting off the next chain of bombs, which we will probably be able to do in this very turn. It actually, Consecrated Ground can get rid of the Traffic Pile Up. And we'll deal Divine Radiant damage to Baron Blade, which brings him down to 4 health. And we're not going to hit anyone else with that. Instead, Fnatic is going to deal the blow to Baron Blade. So 4 damage, which means Baron Blade's bomb plot has been defeated, has been thwarted. Unfortunately, Baron Blade has another weapon up his sleeve. His maniacal Death Ray. When flipped to this side, Baron Blade regains 40 health. Because there are 3 cards... because there were 4 cards actually under Baron Blade when he flipped, he gets to destroy all of as many hero ongoing or equipment cards as possible. And of course all those cards get shuffled into the trash, and so does the trash itself. So in addition to bombs, Baron Blade deals the hero target with the highest health X energy damage, where X is in the number of cards in the villain trash. So basically works kind of similar. So basically Baron Blade has kind of converted his Impulsion Beam into a Death Ray, and whenever a villain target enters play it is destroyed because Baron Blade is still working solo. So all Inspiring Presence, Staff of Ra and Absolution all get destroyed. Curse you, Baron Blade. So yeah, we want to defeat Baron Blade before his before he gets quite a lot of cards in his trash and powers up his Death Ray that he's got there. And meanwhile he'll get hit with Inferno and the flames, the Pyre Flames of Ra. Despite his actually, to be fairly honest, Baron Blade's maniacal schemes, his bomb and Death Ray plot aren't really anything anything that you really be worried about. He's still a fairly straightforward villain, and the reason why the Freedom 5 have largely ignored him is for that very reason. They're not very worried with taking care of Baron Blade because, well, he's actually a very straightforward villain. And Ra will get rid of Excavation. And Visionary draws Twist the Ether, which would be very useful in dealing with Baron Blade's Death Ray. Cramped Quarters Combat. CQC. Increase all damage by 1, all damage is melee, and at the beginning of the environment turn it blows up. So Baron Blade is now punching Ra instead of using his Death Ray, and he hits all of us for multiple damage. So everyone gets hit for melee damage. And he gets to play another card, Flesh Repair Nanites, which heals him back up to 40. Could have been a lot worse. Legacy is going to use Motivational Charge to punch Baron Blade for 4 and heal everyone up for 1 health. So everyone heals for 1. And Legacy draws a Heroic Interception, or Felicia I should say. She's still Legacy, just the latest in the line of Legacies. Speaking of healing, might as well use the power of Holy Nova to heal everyone up for another 1 damage. So everyone heals for 2 this round. And Fanatic will deal 4 melee damage to Baron Blade. And a Prayer of Desperation. Still having to watch out for things like hostage situation and paparazzi on the scene. Beam Fire isn't going to work as long as CQC is up, because all damage is melee. Otherwise that would actually be pretty good. Could use Scorched Earth against Baron Blade, because there is 1 environment card in play at the moment. So or do I want to throw out Flame Barrier just in case? Actually, yeah, Flame Barrier sounds like the better option here. And Ra will hit Baron Blade with the Staff of Ra. Yeah, Baron Blade was far more annoying with the mobile defense platforms, because those rendered him immune to damage as long as he was safe in their sanctuary. But because we blew his one up at Into the Primalis, we don't need to worry about that. Let's see, might as well use a Psychic Maelstrom, which will turn to melee damage. And I think we want to enlighten Legacy to see if she has anything useful. Bolster allies and the Legacy ring. Excellent. She can get rid of Danger Sense. And another Twist the Ether for the Visionary. And CQC is gone. Or not. Another CQC. So we're all going to be dealing melee damage. And Baron Blade, he's got 2 cards in the villain trash right about now. So he's going to hit Ra for 3 melee damage instead of energy damage. But Ra strikes back with 3 melee damage of his own. Ooh, Elemental Redistributor goes to the trash. Yeah, we do have Brain Burn just in case Baron Blade he gets too many cards in this trash. Although that will deal some damage to Visionary. We use Legacy Ring so that Felicia can use Motivational Charge and Atomic Glare this turn, so she can deal double the damage. And everyone can heal for 1 health. Legacy Punch. Fuck. And Legacy gets a Surge of Strength. Fanatic will throw out Undaunted to reduce any damage dealt to her, and she'll hit Baron Blade for 4. We've actually almost won this. Baron Blade is now below 10 health. Again, fairly, he's not a... Well, he's not a truly... he may be a diabolical villain, but he's not terrifying in the sense that some of the other villains... We'll be facing much harder villains as we go through Sentinels of the Multiverse. But actually, we won't be able to finish him off this round. Oh, he's down to 3 health. And Fire Blast, which will actually come in really handy. Rest of Mind, can't go to a character card, but we use Twist the Ether on Baron Blade just to reduce damage. And Visionary will enlighten herself, try and get something useful. Suggestion, Decoy Projection. Throw the, actually, we'll throw the Rest of Mind, because Baron Blade doesn't really have any targets. Not this time. And CQC is destroyed, which is good. And Paparazzi on the scene, which is not so good, because we cannot use powers, which unfortunately works to Baron Blade's advantage here. And Baron Blade will instead of dealing 3 energy damage, he'll be dealing 2 radiant damage. Oh, hasten doom. Hasten doom, hasten doom, hasten doom. Everyone will only be dealt reduced damage this turn. There is actually a Steam achievement that you unlock if you deal over 100 damage of I think every and Baron Blade is actually almost down to 1 now, but there is a Steam achievement related to Twist the Ether. There are 11 different damage types, and if you deal over 100 damage of every type over all battles in Sentinels of the Multiverse, the video game, you unlock this achievement, which is kind of fun. I mean, you don't have to do it, but it is rather fun. Oh, consider the price of victory. Oh, this is where cards in Baron Blade's villain trash is a very bad thing. Get rid of Heroic and Deception. Don't really need Prayer of Desperation. Get rid of Flesh of the Sun God, and get rid of Suggestion. So everyone's taking some more damage. Sonic well, everyone's taking more reduced damage, that is. Thanks to Visionary's Twist the Ether. But we're basically going to win next round anyway, because Legacy is going to deal him damage, which is good for us. Now, Baron Blade has 9 cards in his trash. That would be unfortunate if Baron Blade had another turn, but he doesn't have another turn because unfortunately for him, his oh, actually, I forgot about Curse You Paparazzi on the scene, so everyone's going to draw cards. Everyone's going to draw cards instead, because nobody can use powers. And a Consecrated Ground for Fanatic, so that she can get rid of Paparazzi on the scene. I was about to finish him off with Felicia, but no. Not this day, Baron. Not this day. Get rid of the Paparazzi on the scene, which is more of an annoyance in this case. And Fanatic will be dealing the final blow, which is actually how the comic book story goes, I believe. Fanatic is actually the one that foiled Baron Blade's plot. It's never mentioned who the other heroes actually are. I just chose Legacy, Ra, and Visionary just because. But Fanatic is actually the only named hero that actually goes after Baron Blade when he surfaces in Megalopolis, because the Freedom 5 pretty much ignore him. But that was Mad Bomber Blade. Fairly simple, but he can get dangerous if you let him. But that was this episode of Sentinels of the Multiverse, and I hope you all look forward to the next video. Until next we meet, adventurers.